here she is, the Emirates A350, the inaugural flight. I'm in Edinburgh. I'm on the apron with the team, the engineering team from BOSA Aerospace. This is the ultimate behind the scenes video, and you're coming along. Let's go.
For most people, this was just another aircraft arriving at an airport. But for the aviation world and avgeeks, this was a big moment. You see, for some 15 years, Emirates have only flown two types of aircraft, the giant Airbus A380 and the Boeing 777. This aircraft changes that and marks the start of what Emirates will look like in the future. For me though, this was one of those moments I'd been dreaming of forever, actually being down on the ground when one of these big wide-bodied jets comes in and seeing exactly what happens behind the scenes. I was so pumped. I'll explain a bit later in the video how I got here, but in the meantime, let's get stuck into the action and hear from aircraft engineer Jamal what happens next.
Yes. When the aircraft is on, let's say on stand,
Yeah.
it's set in the aircraft, so we ask for the crew if any complain. Then we tell him that chocks is in place because the ground staff have to put the chocks.
Yes.
After the anti-collision is off, because they are waiting for the anti-collision to be off, mean it's safe to be around the engine. Then chocks in place, he can release the parking brake or keep the parking brake. Then we start our walk around.
The walk around is a comprehensive check of the entire exterior of the aircraft, starting at the nose. What they're looking for is any signs of damage that may have occurred in flight through hail, bird strike, or even small stones being flicked up on takeoff or landing. They're also looking for any leaks, whether that be hydraulic fluid from the landing gear or oil from the engines. And of course, they've got to check the tyres for any damage.
Then the guys will connect the external power here. This, yeah, because at the moment they use aircraft system, APU, auxiliary power unit, as well.
Antenna?
The antenna, yeah. The door, cargo door. Important because the ground handling, you use the door every time.
Yes.
So you have to make sure there is no scratch before they open the door.
Then at the main landing gear, it's time to check the brakes. This is done by checking these pins. Once they're worn down flush to this point, they need replacing. As expected, these are all good. Meanwhile, the refuellers had started their work, and the unloading of cargo and passenger baggage was in full swing.
Make sure there is no dent of the lip skin.
Yeah.
Also the T12, T20 or sensor. If there is nothing inside. You know this the cone?
Yes.
It's plastic. Some kind of plastic.
Yeah, yeah.
It's to prevent the ice building. We check inside here quickly if there is nothing. Here the FOD, there is sometimes if there is a burst strike. Yes. You can see some blood stains and yeah. So we can see it from here as well.
This little thing hanging off the bottom of the engine is a clever device that allows the engineers to see if there's an internal oil leak in any of the systems, and it identifies exactly which system has the leak. There were no leaks today, all was fine.
So when I was with the guys from BOSA in Dublin, we were checking the oil levels on the 737, and there, it's at about this level. You can just walk up to it. Here on the A350, it's up there. You're going to need the steps or be really tall.
And this little thing is a tail strike sensor. If this is damaged, it means the aircraft's tail has struck the runway, and that's a serious issue that can make the aircraft unsafe to fly. Then under here is the fuel panel. It shows exactly how much fuel is in each of the tanks. The engineers will liaise and coordinate with the outgoing captain and the refuellers regarding exactly how much fuel will be required for the return flight. Once the external checks are done, it's time to head into the cockpit. Now's probably a good time to explain how on earth I found myself in this situation. Here's the short story. Having seen my flight reviews on YouTube, Dane Hoskins, the now head of BOSA Aero for the UK and Ireland, reached out. He wanted to shine a light on the incredible people working behind the scenes to make aviation happen, and in the process, hopefully encourage more young people to enter the aircraft engineering side of the industry. So last year I filmed them in action in Dublin, and when BOSA reached out again to see if I'd like to do some more filming at their bases in Edinburgh and Dublin, I jumped at the chance and flew myself halfway across the world from Australia to make it happen. First stop was Edinburgh. From here we'll fly to Dublin to film a 777 turnaround and an A321neo jacked up in the hangar having its landing gear repaired. Stay tuned for those videos. And the best bit, I'm sharing the experience with my brother Sasha. Together we now manage our family touring business Bunnik Tours, which was founded by our mother 30 years ago. We both spend a lot of time on planes, but never like this. To say we're excited is an understatement. Up in the cabin, the cleaning and catering teams had already sprung into action. This is another side of the industry that's full of incredibly hardworking people, and the logistics involved are simply amazing. I've created a separate video on this and we'll put the link to it below. During my initial minutes on board, I managed a quick chat with the incoming captain, who was really lovely. It turns out he started his career flying 737s for Ansett Australia, and I asked him how they compared to flying this A350.
Emirates put me on the Airbus. Went back down to Brisbane with Emirates on the Airbus. And I opened up, one of the 737s I used to fly was parked beside us. So I said, oh, I'm not the guy. So I ran over and opened up the flight deck door, and they had gone. But it was like looking into a submarine. I thought like, oh my God, it's all grey and that sort of chip green colour. And I love flying the 73, but this thing and the 380 are superb. They are sweet airplanes. But like the 73 was great fun. Like it was brilliant fun. Loved it.
Fantastic.
So, still smiling.
Well, thanks for sharing that, Bill. It's Dennis Bunnik is...
By now the engineers were already at work. First up was checking the aircraft's technical log, which lists any issues or faults the incoming flight crew identified. The next step was checking the various systems and the levels of the fuel, engine oil, hydraulic fluids and the crew oxygen tanks.
Crew oxygen.
Crew oxygen?
Crew oxygen as well.
One item requested by the incoming flight crew was to reset one of the flight systems. As a result, my night was to become even cooler. The reset of this particular system takes place in the avionics bay, which is located under the cockpit. This is also known as the E&E bay or electronic equipment bay, and it houses all of the avionics and other electronic equipment such as flight control computers, navigation and communication systems, and other electronic equipment essential for the operation of the aircraft. Think of this as the aircraft's server room. Resetting and testing this system involved following a set of detailed procedures. Once their work was completed, I couldn't help but ask some questions. I love seeing how things work, and it's not every day you find yourself in the avionics bay of an aircraft, let alone a brand new A350.
Onboard server, you know?
Yes.
This is inside you have all the cards.
So this is the battery?
Yeah, you have the normal battery and the emergency battery. Here it's battery emergency 1. This is battery 1, there battery 2 and battery 2 emergency. 4 battery.
So this is like your car engine battery? What is this battery for?
But it's to put the power on the aircraft and for emergency as well. The 2 emergency in case of they lost power. They can use this for the last.
Okay, the big pipes there.
This is for air conditioning ducts. All this, it's the most important circuit breaker panel. All this is CPIOM. This is the CPIOM core processor input-output modules.
Okay.
Those things, it's so important. It's something communicate with all aircraft data.
And this explains why an aircraft is so expensive.
Exactly.
So each one of these boxes is worth a lot of money.
Exactly.
What I find incredible is that these guys know exactly what every button, component, cable, hose and electronic module does and how to fix it if it goes wrong. No 2 days for them are ever the same. Jamal told me he even worked for Airbus in Toulouse, helping to build the A350s earlier in his career. Emirates sets very high standards, and back in the cabin, Kevin and Harry were dealing with a couple of small items identified on the incoming flight. Meanwhile, the cleaning crew were doing their final checks. This is therefore a great time to show you what the cabin of this new Emirates A350 looks like. The business class seats are very similar to those on the Emirates flagship A380s. A 121 configuration ensures all passengers have direct aisle access.
So this seat here, 7B, turns out that I met the passenger who's going to be flying in this seat on the flight back to Dubai tonight. I wonder if you can guess who that is. Here he is.
Hello.
Me, non-stop Ben, how are you, man?
I'm great. It's great to meet you.
Finally, yeah, after all these years. Yeah. What are you most looking forward to?
So I had the crew we're going to have today on my flight yesterday, and they were one of the best crews I've ever had. So I'm excited to see them again. I think we're both jealous of each other because I would love to walk around outside and see the plane, and I'm sure you'd love to be on board.
Yeah, because it's going to be bloody freezing.
I know, yeah. It's freezing now.
Should be look, enjoy the flight.
Thank you so much.
Have a drink for us.
I will. Yeah. Enjoy the walk around.
Now I take it you're sitting in economy?
No.
Hey Dan, I sat in it first. So here it is, the premium economy cabin on the A350. It's a 232 configuration. It looks fantastic. By way of comparison, Cathay Pacific, Singapore Airlines have a 242 configuration. China Airlines has a 232 like this. So this is really, really good. It's a great way to fly.
And finally, the economy cabin, which features a 333 configuration. With the work in the cabin almost complete, we headed back downstairs. This was a time for us to get some cool photos and shots of this incredible aircraft. Meanwhile, the final bags and freight had been loaded and the various teams started to prepare for pushback. Upstairs, the passengers had started boarding, including the passenger in 7B. The final steps before departure included detaching the external power from the aircraft.
So we're now on aircraft power.
They use the APU, auxiliary power unit.
Yes.
And then we have to ask them if we can disconnect.
Yes.
Like this, they can switch from the ground power to the APU. Like this, safely we can disconnect, and then no trouble for the aircraft.
Yeah.
The tug was attached and I was given a detailed safety briefing as I would be joining Harry from the engineering team on the pushback. As it was a very cold night, de-icing was required before pushback. They don't do this in Australia.
This is cool. Harry and I are about to walk the aircraft out. This is, for me, an absolute dream come true. So grateful for this experience.
Then the moment came. EK24 from Edinburgh to Dubai was ready for departure. The role of the engineer for the pushback is to coordinate the communication between the tug crew and the flight deck to ensure a safe pushback. This includes confirming when the hydraulic systems can be pressurised and when it's safe for the engines to start. Joining this pushback was one of the coolest moments of my life, and it's something I'll cherish forever. I think if I had my time again, I'd definitely be considering a career in aircraft engineering. And talking to the guys, it's a job that can literally take you all over the world. It was also really cool that my friend and fellow YouTuber Noel Phillips was able to capture this moment for me from on board the flight and feature it in his video.
And I watched Dennis Bilnick walking with the ground crew on the nose camera, probably feeling slightly less comfortable out there than I was.
Once the aircraft reaches the hold point, the engineer confirms with the flight deck that the park brake has been reactivated so that the tow bar can be removed. Once the tug and the tow bar have moved away from the aircraft, the engineer removes the steering bypass pin and verbally confirms this to the flight crew. Then, when he has safely moved away from the aircraft and done a final check that everything is clear, he visually confirms the pin removal to the flight crew and the aircraft is on its way.
Well done everyone, should be proud of yourselves. First one. Lovely.
Well done, well done.
Well done, Jamal.
The work's not finished, all the paperwork's got to be done now. That was absolutely incredible. You guys, brilliant. Thank you so much for this. This has been really, really good. First flights with Emirates on the A350. These guys made sure that it was safe
and ready to return to Dubai, which is now in the sky and on the way. Hey, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, leave a comment. It has been, for me, an absolutely incredible experience. Thanks for watching. If you haven't subscribed, please consider doing so. There's a whole lot more behind the scenes stuff, including with these guys and some flight reviews and stuff. So subscribe to my channel, it means a lot. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching, and as always, happy travels.